I thought I had the perfect marriage, until a DNA test told me the man I loved wasn't just my husband, he was my cousin. My name is Rachel, and for over a decade I believed my life was everything I'd dreamed of. I married the man who made me laugh, who held me when I cried, who built a home with me brick by brick. Together we had 3 children, beautiful, innocent, and full of life. To anyone looking in, we were ordinary. Normal. A family like any other. But the truth is, sometimes the most ordinary lives hide the most extraordinary secrets. Our story didn't unravel because of betrayal or lies. It unraveled because of a test. A simple, harmless DNA kit ordered online, the kind millions of families take for fun. When the results came back, I expected ancestry percentages or quirky traits to laugh about at dinner. Instead, I was handed a reality I couldn't process. The man sitting next to me on the couch, the father of my children, my partner in every sense of the word, wasn't just connected to me by love. He was connected to me by blood. The moment I saw those words on the screen, my stomach dropped, my hands shook, and the life I thought I knew slipped through my fingers. In one night, my entire life unraveled, and this is how it happened. Before everything fell apart, I used to believe Daniel and I were the kind of couple people dreamed of becoming. We met in college during a volunteer project, painting old classrooms for a local school. I still remember the first thing he said to me. He teased that my brushstrokes were so messy, I was giving Picasso a run for his money. I laughed harder than I should have, and in that moment, something clicked. What started as casual friendship turned into long study nights, coffee runs, and endless conversations about life and dreams. Daniel was steady, calm, and thoughtful, the complete opposite of my impulsive, scattered energy. Where I worried, he reassured. Where I doubted, he believed. By the time graduation rolled around, we were inseparable. He proposed in the most Daniel way possible, simple, genuine, heartfelt. In the quiet corner of the campus library, he slipped a small ring onto my finger and whispered, "Forever?" I cried so loudly the librarian nearly kicked us out. Our wedding wasn't extravagant. We didn't have much money, but we had love, and back then, that felt like enough. A rented hall, borrowed decorations, mismatched flowers, it was perfect in its own imperfect way. My father had died when I was still a teenager, and after an old family feud, his side of the family disappeared from our lives completely. Daniel's mother had gone her own separate way after the same fallout, raising her children under a different name. By the time we met, neither of us had any idea our families were once connected, and no one ever told us otherwise. Then came the children, Ethan, Lily, and Grace. They filled our home with laughter, chaos, and joy. If you're hooked already, hit subscribe, because what happened next will leave you speechless. We thought we were building a future, but the past was waiting to catch up with us. It started so casually, so harmlessly, I almost laugh at how small the choice seemed at the time. One evening, Daniel was scrolling on his phone when he saw an ad for one of those DNA test kits. He grinned, nudged me, and said, "Let's do it. Who knows, maybe I've got Viking blood in me." I laughed and shook my head, but deep down, I was curious too. My grandmother used to tell stories about Spanish roots on her side of the family, and I wanted to know if they were true. It wasn't about secrets, or health scares, or anything serious. Just curiosity. Just fun. A few weeks later, the slim white boxes arrived in the mail. We gathered at the kitchen table, swabbing our cheeks like kids doing a science experiment. Ethan, our 9-year-old, asked if it would prove he had superhero powers. Lily giggled and said she hoped hers would say she was secretly a princess. Grace, the youngest, just wanted to spit in the tube. We laughed so hard that night, sealing the kits and sending them off, never imagining the storm they were about to bring back to us. Life moved on. School runs, dinners, bedtime stories. Honestly, I forgot about the test altogether, until one evening Daniel checked his email and froze. "Ratch," he said quietly, "our results are in." We opened the app together, not knowing it was about to destroy everything we believed. Daniel handed me his phone, the email open, and my pulse quickened as I tapped the link. A bright dashboard appeared, colorful charts, and percentages glowing back at us. At first, it was lighthearted. I laughed when it said I was 12% Scandinavian. Daniel smirked when his report showed traces of Irish. It was exactly what we expected, fun trivia, a novelty to share with the kids at dinner. Then, we scrolled further. A new section appeared, DNA matches. I leaned closer, smiling, ready to joke about some long-lost cousin in another country. But the first name at the top stopped me cold. Daniel. My husband. His name sat under a bold label that read, "Close family match." For a second, I thought it was a glitch. My stomach dropped, my throat went dry. I whispered, "That can't be right." Daniel grabbed the phone back, scrolling frantically. His face drained of color. This is saying we're related," he muttered, his voice shaking. The room went silent. All I could hear was the pounding of my own heartbeat. My hands trembled so violently, I pressed them against my lap to hide it. The words on the screen blurred through my tears, but I didn't need to read them again. They were burned into my mind. And before I tell you how this almost tore our marriage apart, make sure you subscribe, these twists are just beginning. That night, we didn't speak much. We couldn't. We lay in bed staring at the ceiling, our bodies side by side but our souls worlds apart. We couldn't sleep that night, because every possibility we imagined was terrifying. That first night was only the beginning of our unraveling. Sleep became impossible. I'd lie in bed staring at the ceiling, the glow of the phone screen still burned into my mind, the words, "close family match" echoing over and over. Daniel would turn on his side, facing away from me, his shoulders tense, as if even in the dark we needed distance. During the day, the silence was unbearable. Meals became quiet, routine moments felt awkward. I'd catch Daniel staring at the kids, his jaw clenched, as if he was carrying a question he couldn't ask. And I felt it too, guilt pressing down on me like a weight I couldn't shake. Were our children healthy? Had we unknowingly cursed them with risks written in their DNA? I'd tuck Ethan into bed at night, his 9-year-old face so bright with curiosity, and wonder how I could ever explain this to him when he was older. Lily and Grace would laugh and dance through the living room, their innocence a painful reminder of the secret we carried. They noticed the change, of course. Kids always do. One evening Ethan asked, "Mom, why are you and Dad so quiet lately?" I forced a smile, telling him we were just tired. But inside, I felt like a liar. We weren't just tired, we were terrified. The fear of judgment haunted me. What if anyone found out? Our neighbors, our friends, our church? Would they look at our children differently? Would they call our marriage a sin, a scandal, something that should never have happened? Daniel tried to be strong, but I saw through him. His laugh was forced, his words clipped. Every time our eyes met, we both looked away, as if staring too long meant acknowledging what we'd become. And yet, as heavy as it all felt, the truth wasn't done with us yet. Because when we dug into our family history, we uncovered a secret no one wanted us to find. Silence wasn't enough. The more we tried to push the DNA results to the back of our minds, the louder the questions became. Danielle started digging into old family records, reaching out to distant relatives. I spent nights scrolling through genealogy sites, tracing branches of family trees that had long since withered. Piece by piece, the truth surfaced, and it was uglier than either of us expected. My father and Daniel's mother weren't strangers at all. They had been first cousins. Decades earlier, a bitter family feud had torn them apart. Land, inheritance, money, the details varied depending on who we asked, but the outcome was the same. My father cut ties and moved away, carrying his family into silence. Daniel's mother stayed, raising her children under a different last name, determined to leave the feud behind. By the time Daniel and I were born, the connection was gone, erased by distance and deliberate silence. Neither of us had ever been told stories about that side of the family. To us, it was as if the bloodline never existed. But the DNA test proved otherwise. It connected the dots no one wanted us to see. We weren't distant strangers who fell in love by chance. We were blood. Second cousins. This was bigger than us. It was about history, bloodlines, and choices made decades ago. Subscribe now, because the deeper we dug, the darker it got. The truth left me shaking. Because now we knew who we were, but what were we supposed to do about it? The night we finally faced it, the house was quiet. The kids were asleep upstairs, their soft breathing carrying through the walls, while Daniel and I sat across from each other at the kitchen table. Between us, the cold glow of a single lamp lit up the silence we'd been drowning in for weeks. Daniel's hands were wrapped around a mug of coffee he hadn't touched. His eyes were red, not from tears, but from a kind of exhaustion I'd never seen in him before. He cleared his throat and asked, "Do we end this? Is that what we're supposed to do?" The question sliced through me. End it? After more than a decade, after 3 children, after vows whispered under borrowed decorations and cheap flowers? My chest tightened. How do we explain that to them? I whispered back. How do we tear everything apart now? We went back and forth for hours. Separation meant destroying the life we had built, but silence meant carrying a secret that could destroy us in other ways. Every choice felt like betrayal, of our love, of our children, or of the truth itself. At some point, the words ran out. Daniel reached across the table, his hand shaking as it covered mine. Then we stay, he said quietly. We protect them. Whatever it takes. I nodded, tears slipping down my cheeks. We had made our choice. We would stay together. But the secret would stay with us too, buried beneath the smiles, the school drop-offs, and the bedtime stories. We chose to stay. But staying didn't mean surviving. Years have passed since the night those test results turned our world upside down, but the memory still lingers like a scar you can't erase. On the surface, Daniel and I look like any other couple. We smile at school plays, take family photos at Christmas, and cheer for our kids at soccer games. But behind every laugh, behind every snapshot, there's a shadow we never speak about. Some days, I convince myself it doesn't matter, that love is stronger than bloodlines, that what Daniel and I built is worth protecting at all costs. On those days, I can breathe. On others, the shame creeps in, whispering that our marriage is tainted, our silence a cage. I wonder if the truth will ever come out, and if it does, whether our children will see us as protectors, or as liars. Living with a secret this heavy means carrying 2 lives, the one the world sees, and the one that gnaws at you when the house goes quiet at night. So I'll ask you, if the DNA test told you the love of your life was family, would you walk away, or stay? Comment below, and don't forget to subscribe, because some truths are too shocking not to share.